Yo, what's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special video for you because this is my first ever Marvel Contest of Champions video and I'm back. And this time I'm going to be starting a brand new account. I'm going to be recording most of my experience with that, and I'm also bringing through a couple of friends with me who have never played the game, have never played anything like it. So what I'm going to do is be making a beginner's guide on everything you need to know as somebody who's never played the game, completely new, and show them what everything means, what all of these different menu icons are, how you can get different resources, just everything to go ahead and get you started on your journey into the contest. And yeah, it's if you have any request for something that I missed in here, or if you want me to go more in depth and make a dedicated video for, let's say, Masteries or what Prestiges, Alliance Quest, whatever the case is, let me know in the comments below and I'll definitely go ahead and make a video on that. But just so I don't make this a 3-hour video, let's go ahead and jump into it. So they teach you in the tutorial, like as you make a new account, what the basic commands are. So, you know, swipe is a medium attack, which will dash across the screen. A light is just a tap, and that'll just attack like directly in front of you. There's no movement to it. And heavy is if you hold the right side of the screen. Blocking is you hold the left side of the screen. Dash back is if you swipe left on the left side of the screen. So you know all of that, but what they don't teach you is what a basic combo looks like. So a basic combo would be medium, light, 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 medium. So swipe, tap, 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 swipe. From there, you can go into a special if you time it correctly, as well as you cannot go into a heavy except for specific characters. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you what that looks like in a random quest. Now, at first, it might be a little bit awkward to understand because there is a bit of a different cadence that you have to be able to land the specials, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Wow, this is way too easy. They're just gonna go one shot. Okay, let's go to the harder one. There we go. All right, so yeah, there's a little bit of a timing that you have to have with it. You kind of want to press the special button right as your animation for that last hit is happening, and I'll show you what the difference is. So if you go in here, let's just fight like normal. If they don't play passive, alright, so here I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then as it's happening, link it in. Now what happens if I don't? Oh, she got to a special 3. I'm dead. Actually, hers is kind of weak. I might move it. Alright, so let's get the parry. Now here, I'm going to do it after the animation, and you'll see that they can block it. So that like half a second difference can completely change the mechanics of the game. So it's very important that you learn that timing, and it's very important to know that that timing changes per character. So here we're going to start like normal, and then after the 5th hit, I'm just going to try and do a heavy. You see how they can dash in? So if this was a higher tier fight, they probably would have dashed in right after I did that. So I'll even try ending it and then doing it. You see? Right there they hit you. So there are some characters that you can combo heavies with, like Wasp, but the majority of characters you cannot. So yeah, after that covers most of the mechanics. There's of course things that change later on in the game as you get deeper and you have node interactions, such as like power gain coupling with the power gain of, I don't know, like a Mordo or somebody like that has power gain in their base kit, but then they also have power gain increase from the node. Stuff like that you'll learn as you go along, but as a base level at a completely beginner guide, that should set you up. Now the next thing is the different classes and what champions themselves are. So in the game there's 6 different classes. There's Science, which you can see by the green like little vial next to the numbers under their name. There's Skill, which is the red fist by their numbers. Mutant, which is the little DNA helix by the numbers. Cosmic, which is the like little planet next to their numbers. Tech, which is the like little tech thingy next to their numbers. I don't know, is that supposed to be like motherboard connections, whatever. And then Mystic, which is like the little mystical symbol next to their numbers. Each one of these classes specializes in something very specific, and they also beat other classes. So for instance, Mystic is very strong against Cosmic. They have a natural class advantage. So if you're fighting a Cosmic character as a Mystic, you're going to gain a 25% attack increase, and they're going to get a negative 25% attack decrease, just because they have a natural class advantage. That's not including any of the other mechanics of the character. Just at a class level, you're gonna be stronger. So when you're going through questing, if you see that your boss is a Cosmic character, you want to try and have a Mystic character on your team so that you can just have an outright stat advantage as much as possible at the beginning. Now, they also counter them on a more grand scale, because the way that Cosmics work is a lot of their kits are based around gaining buffs. So for instance, Venom, he gains random buffs every like couple of seconds, and he can get different varieties. So he can get an armor up, a fury, precision, just kind of luck of the draw. So most Cosmic characters have some sort of mechanic where they gain buffs. Now Mystic, they specialize in power control and nullifying buffs. So for instance, Dr. Voodoo, he can take any buffs that the opponent has, and he can nullify them and turn them into poisons. So naturally, you would want to bring him in against a Cosmic character, because the buffs that they're going to be getting, he's going to be able to nullify and kind of flip and turn them into a benefit for him. So all characters have, or all classes have sort of that interaction. They have a class that they're specifically weak to. So it goes, Science is weak to Skill. Skill is weak to Mutant. Mutant is weak to Tech. Tech is weak to Cosmic. Cosmic is weak to Mystic. And Mystic is weak to Science. So it's kind of a game of rock, paper, scissors, shoe, but you're never going to be able to cover all of the different classes, because there's only 5 characters per team, and there's 6 classes. So you just kind of have to kind of scout the paths between every time you go into a quest, and see what you're going to need for that specific path that you're going to be on. If there's any particular fights that you're going to have a struggle with, synergies, all that kind of stuff. Go in a little bit into synergies in a second. Just a little bit more on that, on what the classes themselves offer. So Science typically excels at more defensive things and applying debuffs to the opponent. Skill is usually a bit more offensive, where it reduces the enemy's ability accuracy, so they'll have less chances to proc their abilities, whether that's like regen or bleeds or whatever the case is like that. Mutants are overpowered. They have all types of different utilities. There's characters like Archangel that does a lot of debuffs. There's character like Rogue that can steal buffs. There's characters like Colossus and Emma Frost that have a million immunities. They are probably the most flexible class in the game, and easily the #1 strongest class in the game because of that. They have so many characters that are very top tier because they can cover so many different scenarios. Cosmic, we already went over. They excel at usually pretty high damage because they have a lot of different buffs. Tech is control. So a lot of them either have some way to manage the opponent's power gain or regeneration. They also typically have some sort of like armor up, something like that, just to be a little bit more tanky. And quite often they have some sort of regen on their side too. Not always, but some sort of it. And then Mystic, as we went over, they also have a lot of, they're kind of the counters of the game. So they can nullify things. They can put something called a Sate Field where you just can't activate any buffs, just things like that. So aside from the actual classes, when you go on a more in-depth level, every character has a set of synergies. So what synergies are kind of buffs that you give your characters based on who's on your team. So I'm going to go to a team builder right now just to show you what that actually looks like. So here, if I was to bring in Blade, right? You'll see here that he has these three little, that 0 out of 3 icon. What that means is he has 3 separate synergies and none of them are activated. So if I wanted to activate, let's say, Stark Spider-Man, if I want to activate him onto the, or activate this synergy, I could just throw him on the team by grabbing his portrait and throwing it onto the team, and you see how that icon turns blue, and now it's activated, which means that for him specifically, he'll get a plus 45% potency to one of his abilities, and then Spider-Man starts the fight with 3 charges of one of his abilities. This is what's called a unique synergy, because it's a synergy that only affects the 2 characters that they're interacting with. Now, there are more broad synergies. So like if I put Wolverine, I can go ahead and put Magneto on the team, and now you see that synergy activates, that gives 155 critical rating to everybody on the team. It's not just these 2. Every character that's going to be on your team is going to benefit from this. And then as you can see here, Magneto has 2 synergies out of 8 activated because he also has synergies with Wolverine. Actually has 2 synergies with Wolverine. So this is where you can get very min-maxy with the game. So if you're going to be using one character primarily on your team to clear a specific path, you can use that entire, like let's say I just want to use Blade, right? Let's go ahead and take him off. I could go ahead and put these 3 on the team, and then let's see, I think Storm also has one. There you go. So now, let's say I wanted to clear an entire path with my Blade. I'm min-maxing his ability to do damage because he's going to have a critical rating buff, a critical damage buff, another critical rating buff, another critical damage buff, a flat attack buff, another critical damage buff, and then a perfect block buff. So all of these are going to be activated at the same time, which will make all of the characters better. However, if you're trying to focus on one single character, you can do that by just buffing them up this way. So this allows you to be a lot more creative with your teams. You can pick specific characters that you want to make stronger, or you can just have very broad teams that have just a bunch of general buffs, or you can just completely ignore that and just click characters that are really strong that don't really have any synergies. So synergies is a very important thing to factor in when you're trying to team build, especially because at the later game they can give like immunities or things like that that can completely change the way that nodes and stuff like that interact. So for instance, Emma Frost has one with Mysterio that I actually don't have Mysterio on this team or on this account, but they have one where it makes them immune to inverse controls, which is a node and an ability that you see a lot later in the game, which makes your swipe a dash back and your dash back a swipe. So the controls on movement are reversed. It's very disorienting and very hard to get used to. but this makes it so that you can use the two of them together and it just doesn't affect them. So it's really good to just give an additional piece of utility to certain characters. So you always want to keep track of that. On top of that, every character has a level and a rank, and that level and rank will change depending on the star level. So as you see here, I have a 5-star Ronin who's rank 4 out of 5, level 55 out of 5. So that's the max that I can go without ranking him up, which is going to use something called Catalyst. I'll go more into depth in that in a second. However, if you see, if I go to, I wonder if I have him as a 4-star. I should. Oh no, I think I sold him. So let's go to a 3-star. 3-star Ronin. So you see, it's the same character. However, he's rank 1 out of 4, level 10 out of 10. So their max caps are lower because they're a different star level, even if they are the same champion. So that's something to always keep in mind, as well as the stats. The stats continuously go up depending on the star level of a character. So you see this 3-star only has 151 attack and 2,150 health. However, the same character at level 5, because he's ranked up higher and he's just a flat out stronger character because he's a higher star level, he has 1,721 attack and then 24,610 health. So as you can see, as you get the star levels up on a character, their stats just inflate nearly exponentially. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's just a massive increase. Now, how do you get the different star levels? That is just kind of by pure chance through the different crystals in the game. The different crystals in the game are, there's shard crystals, which you get from, like, basically every piece of content in the game will give you a little bit of whatever star level is appropriate for that difficulty. So if you're doing Cavalier difficulty content, you're going to get 5 and 6-star shards. When you collect enough of them, you can combine them and purchase a full crystal, which will give you a chance at getting a random character from that pool that is that dedicated star level. So for instance, this, I have 2,606 out of 2,003 star hero crystal shards. So I can purchase one full 3-star hero crystal with 2,000 shards, which will make it so that no matter what, from this crystal, I'm going to get a 3-star. I can't get anything lower, can't get anything higher. It has that for every, well, not every, it has it for 3, 4, 5, and 6 stars. 2 and 1 stars are a bit different. 1 stars you can only get during events. And I think maybe daily crystals for like proven or whatever the first level of progression is. And then 2 stars you can get from premium hero crystals. These you can flat out buy, which gives you a chance at a 3 or 4 star as well. Or more often you're going to get a 2-star hero. Or you can get them using premium hero crystal shards, which you get from things like Arena and again other content like that. So every different variant has every different piece of content has different progression levels, which will give you different kinds of shards based on that. So let's see, there's also the dual crystals, which is something they've added pretty recently, which, because the pool of champions is so high, if you're targeting, let's say, Nick Fury, for instance, you can get this crystal and you increase your chances of getting that because there's only 2 classes in this. You'll never get a Mystic or a Science from this crystal because you can only get Mutant and Skill. And the crystal rotates daily. So today is Mutant and Skill, tomorrow might be Tech and Cosmic, the following day might be Science and Mystic. I think those are the 3 variations. I don't know the exact rotation, but they do change every 24 hours, and you can see the timer on top. There's also something called the Featured Hero Crystal, which will give you a 5 or 6-star variant of one of these characters that you'll see here on the list that says guarantees a 5-star version, blah, blah, blah. This is where you're going to go to get the most recent champions, because when a character gets released, they don't get added to the base pool of the game, which is what you would find here in just the base hero crystal. They don't get added to that for, I think, like 3 months or 4 months, something close to that. So until that time where they're added to that, the only way that you can get them is through these featured hero crystals, which is a 1 out of 24 chance per character, because there's 24 champions in that pool. Or you can get them through the featured crystals, which you can buy for units. We'll go a little bit more into depth on what units are later on, but those are the only way that you can get new characters. The featured crystals also change, I think, every 2 or 3 days, and they kind of rotate out, in and out. So yeah, this is where you would go to try and get the more recent champions. However, you have to know that that's very high risk, very high reward, because if you select here, if you know the game, you'll know that this crystal doesn't have the strongest characters, but it does have the newest characters. So characters like, let's say, Terrax, Gamora, Iron Man Infinity War, Punisher 2099, those aren't characters typically that when you pull them, you're going to be super excited to get. But on the flip side, you'd also have chances of getting characters like Apocalypse and Gambit and Blade and Mole Man, who I think is pretty good right now, or after his rework. Those are characters that you'd be really excited to get. So it has a smaller pool and gives you more of a chance to get a character that you're super excited about, but you can also get a character that you really don't want, and you're going to be spending 50% more to get that crystal, because it's 15,000 shards instead of 10,000 shards. Same thing with these. It's very, very high risk, because as you can see here, the chance at a 5-star is only a 4%, and of this specific character as a 5-star is less than a 1%. And it's 300 units. If you're buying 10 of these crystals, that's 3,000 units, which is the equivalent of $100, which is the equivalent of almost 100 revives, which could get you through just about any piece of content in the game. So it's very expensive, very high risk reward, but it's an option. And I can tell you firsthand, my wife used to play this game, and I know a bunch of people that they just buy one crystal, 300 units, they hit the lotto, get a 6-star featured character that completely changes the tides of their account. Again, it's just very high risk reward, and use at your own risk. So after that, we're going to go into the resources of the game. So the main resources of the game are going to be ISO, gold, catalysts, and signature stones. Those are the 4 most sought after, most used, the ones that you're going to do all of the content to try and collect. So catalyst you use to rank up your characters, and there's different catalysts based on every class. So if you see here, if I want to let's go to somebody that's ranked up, Ronin. If I want to rank up my Ronin, I need a tier 5 basic, tier 4 cosmic, tier 1 alpha, and tier 2 alpha. However, if I want to rank up Emma Frost, I need tier 5 basic as well, but instead of the cosmic, I need tier 4 mutant catalyst, and then the tier 1 alpha and tier 2 alpha. So there's the class specific catalysts, which are mutant, cosmic, tech, science, skill, and mystic. You can get those from tiers 1 through 5, and you'll need those to rank up characters of the equivalent power level. So to rank up 1-star or 2-star characters, you'll typically need a tier 1 or tier 2 class catalyst. To rank up a 6 and 5-star, you'll need between tier 4 and tier 5 class catalyst. Now, the one commonality through all of them, no matter what class, are basic catalyst and alpha catalyst. So those are usually valued a little bit higher because you go through a lot more of them, because you use them whether you're ranking up mystic, cosmic, whatever. So every character is always going to need some sort of basic catalyst, which again scales from tier 1 to tier 5. And then as you progress through, I think starting with 4-star champions, they'll start needing alpha catalysts, which scale from 1 to 2 at the moment. Probably within the year, I think we'll see a tier 3, but that's super end game. You won't have to worry about that. And yeah, so you can get those through different pieces of content in the game, through quests. There's typically champion shards and fragment shards, which you can combine to make a full catalyst. So if you have 3 quests that give 15,000 tier 5 basic shards, when you finish those 3, you'll go ahead and form 1 full catalyst. So that's what a lot of this game is. It's going through all the different pieces of content to try and collect little bits and pieces here, little bits and pieces here, little bits and pieces here, and then combining them to make 1 full catalyst for whatever character it is that you're trying to get. However, there's also crystals like these that give completely full ones. However, typically they're going to be random. So this will give you 1 full tier 4 class catalyst. However, it could be cosmic, or it could be mystic, or whatever other class. So it's kind of luck of the draw if you're looking for one specific type. And that's where things can get a little bit frustrating, because I can tell you there's been plenty of times where I needed 1 mystic. I open 20 of these crystals and I get everything but mystic. So it's just like, man, I just used all these resources and I still don't have what I need. Aside from catalyst, you can get ISO, which is used to level up characters. They're also ranging from tiers 1 to 5. I think it might want, from 6 now. So from 1 to 6, and you can get them in either basic or the class specific ones. Now, to level up characters, it's more cost efficient to use ISO of that specific class. So if I was going to level up Loki, it would be more cost efficient for me to use Mystic ISO, because it would be, actually, let me just show you. It's kind of hard to show without, I think I had some cosmic. So as you can see here, I have that 5,000 ISO brick that's meant for cosmic. However, when I click it, it gets upgraded to 7,500. Why? Because that's his class. He's a cosmic character, so the cosmic ISO gets a 50% boost to its value. However, if I was going to use a tier 5 basic, you see it's 31,000 or 3,100, sorry about that, but also just gives a flat 3,000. So typically when you're leveling up characters, you want to start with ISO of that class, because it's going to be cheaper and just more cost efficient. And these resources, while they might be a little bit easier to get early on or utilize earlier on, later on in the game, it's really important to kind of min-max these type of things, because gold is very hard to come by and you use it for everything. And when you start ranking up higher level characters, you can very easily burn through 2, 3, 4 million gold on a single character on different rank ups. So yeah, how you get ISO is, again, through quests. Sometimes they'll give you class specific, but typically they'll give you like a tier 3 basic, which isn't ideal. So the easiest way to get them is by duplicating characters. So if I were to open a crystal right now and open a 3-star Quake, I would get more Sig Levels on my Quake, but then I'd also get, I think it's like 2 tier 4 science bricks. For 5 and 4 stars, you get 24 of the tier 5 bricks of that class. So if I were to dupe Venom, which is just getting an additional 5-star copy of this champion, I would awaken his ability, which means this part that's read out that says you have to collect it. I would awaken that, give him 20 signature levels, and then I'd also get 24 tier 5 cosmic bricks. So that's the most efficient way to get ISO, and that's the number 1 tip I would give any new player is do not sell champions. because the ISO and the signature levels that you get from not doing so is huge, especially because you also get additional shards for the next tier. So if I were to duplicate this Magneto, I would get 5-star hero shards as included with the ISO bricks and the additional signature levels that I would get for duplicating him because I already have him. So you get a lot of benefit from getting duplicate copies of the same character. So even though this Groot here, I will never, ever use this Groot. Never. Aside from maybe Arena. But I'm not going to sell him because if I pull him again, I'm going to get 256 star shards. I'm going to get a bunch of ISO. I'm going to get some gold. And then I'm going to awaken his ability, which increases the points that he gets in Arena. It's just a plethora of benefits for basically no upside to selling. So do not sell characters ever. Now, talking about dupes a little bit, we'll go ahead and show if you don't ever pull that character again. So let's say that Groot, I never pull that Groot again. So I never get those silver stars. I never awaken his ability. You can use something called an awakening gem, which I could select him here. I could use this, and then it would turn his ability, that awakened ability, it'll activate it even though I've never pulled him before. Now, if I was going to do that, his signature would be at 1 because I just awakened him. Then I could use something called the signature stone, which you'll see here. And then I could dump them into him to increase that level. So if there's a character that you really want awakened, but you just can't pull them, if there's a way to get a awakening gem for that class or a generic awakening gem, you can use it on him and then just pump up their signature level by using signature stones. Signature stones are, in my opinion, probably the most rare thing in the game, because typically the big way that you get them is by buying deals. So in the unit store, periodically it'll have a thing that says like, hey, $30 will give you 50 5-star shards, and then 20 generic, or 50 5-star signature stones, and then 20 generic 5-star signature stones, something like that. So as a free-to-play player, it's really hard to come by, and as a player that wants to spend money, you kind of just have to wait for those deals to come around. You can get them from different pieces of content in the game. So like if you go to Labyrinth of Legends, go to the crest rewards here, you'll see that just for completing it, or from exploring it, you get 1 awakening gem, and then you'll get 100 of these crystals. So there are ways to get them. I don't think I have them. Let's see. You get them from daily events. Yeah, so you get 1. If you do all of the different milestone rewards for your daily events or from your sigil, you can get 1 typically. So yeah, there are ways to get them, but they're very important because a lot of characters depend on having a high signature level, but they're very hard to come by. So these are probably the number 1 resource in the game that I would say to hoard until you need them. Because if you throw them on a character like Black Bolt, who doesn't really need a high signature level, and then you pull Captain Marvel movie, who does require that high signature level, you could have used those onto her and gotten her to her maximum potential, as opposed to using it on somebody who it just wouldn't be that beneficial on. So those are all the main resources of the game. There are some other ones like battle chips and loyalty and glory. Glory you get from alliances, but we'll cover that in a little bit later. Incursion resources, and then units. Units are probably the most important like treasury type resource, because you can use them to buy potions, to buy crystals, to buy revives. Periodically they'll have deals that are strictly for units, so spend like 3,000 units and get a 5-star vision, those types of deals. This is the premium currency in this game. So there are other games like, man, I know Apex has one that you have to like buy the Apex coins or whatever, and that's what you use to buy skins or whatever. League of Legends has the RP that you have to purchase to get skins and champions and things like that. This game is unique in that you can use battle chips to purchase something called an arena crystal, which when opened has a chance at giving gold or units, and it's a surprisingly high rate considering how many battle chips you can get and how much units it gives. So if you're a free-to-play player, you're going to be living in arena a lot because that's how you get battle chips, and then battle chips you can convert to units, which you can convert to revives or saving for deals or saving for crystals, whatever the case may be. If you're somebody who has money to spend, you can just go to the unit store and just flat out buy units. But yeah, it's a premium currency in the game, and it's something that's super valuable, so you don't want to just be really willy-nilly with it if you're a free-to-play player, and things can get very expensive very quickly if you're not. So just use your own discretion. Now, as for quests, which is how you get all of these different resources, there's two different types of quests. There's permanent quests, like the story quests, which will always be around no matter when you join, no matter how many breaks you take. These quests will always be around. And then there's timed events, like you can see here. Every month you get a different themed event quest, which has 5 different difficulties now, I think. Yeah, 5 different difficulties, which has varying rewards based on whatever difficulty you're doing. There's also temporary like side quests, which are these that you'll see here. Typically they'll be a lot shorter, so it'll only be, yeah, you'll see here it's just 3 sections with 2 quests. The quests will probably be really short paths. These probably the same thing, and they typically have a lot better rewards for a lot less effort, but you have to grind them daily. And they typically have some sort of premium currency too. Like these, you get Shattered Heart Crystals, which I think if I remember correctly, you can use these to buy like Romance Crystals or something like that. That has crystals that are specific to characters that have a specific synergy. Or you can get X-Men crystals for an X-Men themed event that has a special crystal for that event that only drops X-Men. Things like that. So side quests and monthly event are the temporary events, and then permanent content is going to be the story quests, the back issues variant quests, the special quests that are more long-term, more challenging, with Labyrinth of Legends, Abyss of Legends, Realm of Legends. There's also daily quests, which you can get lower tier catalysts, which this is where you would go to get all of your different basic catalysts. You can only get up to tier 3 in a whole, like you can't get a whole tier 4 basic catalyst or tier 5 from any of these. Same with the class. You can't get tier 4 and up with these. You can only get shards for tier 4, and then tier 5 you can't get the dailies. And the timer for each of them resets every day. So the basic will always be here. However, you can only get, let's just go here. You can see I can get 3 total tier 1 basics. I can get 1 from completing, and then 2 for exploring, which is completing all of the paths on that quest. So I could get 3 from completing all the paths in this quest every 24 hours. So at 24 hours or in 11 hours, this will reset, and I can get another 3. And then 24 or 11 hours from that time, 24 hours, whatever, you get another 3, so on and so forth. The classes, however, the class rotates every 24 hours. So today is tech. Tomorrow, as you can see from where it says upcoming, it has that little green symbol. That is the symbol for the isosphere, which means it's random. So it'll have a quest where you can get random fragments for random catalysts. So you can get a tech, full catalyst, or cosmic catalyst fragments, or whatever the case may be, just kind of luck on the draw. After that, it would be mutant. Then the next day, it would be skill. Next day would be science. Next day would be mystic. The next day would be cosmic, and it just resets on a weekly or on a daily basis. So that should be all of the quests covered. Crystals, I covered a little bit earlier. The only two I didn't really cover are the free crystals and the uncollected or the daily crystals. So daily, as you can probably assume from the name, you get every 24 hours you can claim one, and the rewards are based on your progression. So right now I can get 4-star heroes, tier 4 catalysts, and tier 2 alpha fragments. However, as I move up to Cavalier or Thronebreaker, those rewards will scale up to the amount of content that I've done. So when I get to Cavalier or Thronebreaker, I won't be able to get 4 stars here are champions, but I might be able to get 5 stars or 6-star hero shards, or instead of tier 4 basic and tier 4 class catalyst fragments, I might be able to get full tier 4 fragments or tier 5 shards, something like that. The same thing with the free crystals. However, free crystals are a little bit different as they give potions and revives basically always. So these specifically, I would recommend hoarding and not opening until you need them, because you can only hold a certain amount of potions and revives at a time. So if you were, let's say you have 100 of these crystals and you open them, you would have 100 different potions and stuff split up, and they would end up in your stash. In your stash, they have, I think, 14 days to be used. So if, let's say you have a snowstorm or whatever and you can't play for 14 days, everything in your stash would just expire. However, if you have those 100 crystals, you can just save them forever until you decide to make a progression push and do a specific piece of content. Then you have 100 different potions and revives that you can use to try and push through that content that you know isn't going to expire, because you're going to be using them as you're pushing through that content. So again, I would recommend hoarding your free crystals. And again, they scale with your progression level. So as you get up, right now they might give maybe tier 2 potions, but if I get to Cavalier or Thronebreaker, which are the upper progression levels, they might give tier 4 and tier 5 potions. I don't think there's any other crystals that I can really think of. Oh, Nexus crystals. So Nexus crystals are something that has been added recently. What that basically is it's a crystal. So as you can see here, I can get a 4-star Nexus hero crystal from this crystal. So in this crystal, I can get another crystal, which would be something called a Nexus. And a Nexus basically guarantees you 3 pulls, and you get to choose which one. So let's say I open a Nexus and I pulled that Star-Lord, Hulk, and Black Panther. I would have basically pulled all 3 of them from that crystal, but I can choose which one to keep. So if I wanted to keep Black Panther, I can select him, and then I would lose the other 2. If I wanted to get Hulk, could select him and lose the other 2. It just allows you a little bit more certainty in your crystals, because you have a little bit more control on who you want. So if you're looking for ISO, you can get somebody who you already have, which would be a dupe, so you'd get the ISO. Or if you're looking for new characters for Arena or hunting a specific character, whatever the case is, you can do it that way with a Nexus crystal. However, they're very, very, very rare to get, as I think the only ways to get them in the game are through getting them from crystals like this as a random drop, or through completing the most difficult content in the game, which is Act 6, Act 7, and Abyss of Legends. So after the crystals, I think we covered most of the basic game mechanics. After that, we have to worry about alliances. Now, alliances are very, very, very important to partake in, because there's different game modes called Alliance Quest and Alliance War that you can compete in. However, even if you don't want to compete in those, you can use them and gain a huge benefit from them, because every, I think, 12 hours or 7 hours, one of those two, you can click help or request help from your alliance, when you're out of energy. So let's say all this energy, I used it because I'm pushing through whatever content. There will be a little button that says request help, and everybody in my alliance would see something in the alliance tab that says, hey, I need help for quest energy. Can you guys help me? And there would be 10 times that somebody can give you 2 energy. So in total, you could get an additional 20 energy every 7 or 12 hours, whatever the timer is, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up on a daily basis, as well as if you're only missing, let's say, 6 energy from completing a quest, you can use this to get the extra 6 energy as opposed to using 30 units on an energy refill. It's just a bit more cost efficient. You can also do that same method of requesting help for arena characters, because arena characters, which are, let me just show you, which is this, you can use your arena teams to compete for different rewards. So this, you can go through the milestones, collect points as you do fights, and collect these milestones for fragment shards or crystal shards, or just full characters. As you can see here, the rank rewards, if you score high enough, you can get the ranked rewards and get, again, either full characters or hero crystal shards. And you can only use those characters, like you can't spam this for 6 hours. You can if you use units, because you can manually refresh them by spending units. However, the more cost efficient way to do it is to request help. So you can use 4 stars every 2 hours. However, if you're in an alliance, you can request help and reduce that time from 2 hours to, I think it's like an hour and 15, hour 30, somewhere close to that. And then 5 stars and 6 stars. 5 stars is every 6 hours, and I think you can cut that down maybe an hour or another 45 minutes. And then 6 stars are every 20 hours or something close to that. But yeah, so you can use alliances to help refresh your champions for arena. It's not just those extra game modes. Now, those extra game modes are something called Alliance Quest, which is basically you're competing with your team, with your alliance, to take down a bigger boss that's on a quest map. So you're using different paths and stuff like that to take down nodes to be able to take down a boss, which scales in different difficulty over a 5-day period. So let's say you had a Kingpin boss and you're competing with your team to take them down. You take them down on day 2. It would be the same map, the same nodes, but that Kingpin would be harder. So every day that boss gets harder, and then at the end of the 5 days, you get a certain amount of something called Alliance Quest Crystal, Glory, and different fragments based on the difficulty that you were doing as a reward for completing that Alliance Quest. So the Alliance Quest Crystals is a massive way to get Catalyst to rank up your characters, because they can drop either Catalyst fragments or full Catalyst, and then you get that currency called Glory, which you can use in the Glory store by going to store and then selecting the Glory tab to purchase full Catalyst or Catalyst fragments or gold or potions or whatever it is that you want that's in this store that you're trying to aim for. So again, this is very important because you can kind of pick and choose what it is that you want to progress with. So yeah, after that, there's Alliance War, which is Alliance versus Alliance, which is the quote-unquote PvP aspect of the game, where you select characters from your roster, and everybody else in your alliance does. You put them onto something called Alliance War Defense, which means you cannot use them for, I think, a 24 period. They will be locked into Alliance War Defense, and the other team that you're going to be fighting is going to be doing the same, and then you're going to have to fight each other to take down each other's defenders. Whoever dies less gets more nodes down, takes more fights without dying, as I said earlier. You'll score more points, and if you win, you get hero shards. So Alliance War is the big way to collect more shards to get more characters. So they kind of work hand in hand, where Alliance War you can use to get more characters, and then Alliance Quest you can use to rank up those characters. So again, as a whole, it's very beneficial to be part of an alliance because, again, it's how you get more characters and you progress through your account more quickly. So after that, let's see what else I haven't touched really. So Arena is very important because this is how, again, you can farm units, because as you can see here through the rewards of just getting the milestones, which you get from doing the fights. Every time you do a fight, you get a certain amount of points. As you collect a certain amount of points, you get different milestones, and you get 5 units, some shards, some gold, but all of this adds up. So this might seem like only 5 here, but if you do this milestone plus this milestone, that's 10, plus another 6, that's 16, plus another 7, that's what, 23. Keep going, adding up all these units, and you'll probably end up somewhere around like 50. If you do that, plus you do this one, you can get another 5, another 6. Oh no, I just looked at that. So if you do that one, plus you do this one, you get another 5, another 10, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. It's another what, like 80 units. Do this one. This one is an event and doesn't have anything. This one, you can get another 5, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. Again, you can do this every 3 days. So every 3 days, there's a new arena that resets. So if you're doing all of these arenas just from milestones, you can get like 300-400 units if you're doing all of them consistently. You're doing that 2 times a week. You're getting what, like 600 to 800 just flat units, plus all of the battle chips that you get from doing this. You can open those to get even more gold and even more units. So it's pretty important to do arena if you're a free-to-play player, because this is where a large majority of your resources are going to come from. As a beginner, it's very important to do this because you're in something called a beginner's bracket, which means this account that I'm on right now that is 6 years old, 5 years old, isn't going to be competing with you. You're only going to be competing with other people that have made that account within 30 days. So you're going to be, your scores, your milestones, your rank rewards, all of that are going to be a lot more accessible because you're not competing with inflated accounts like mine. So for me, this might take, I don't know, 1 million points to get this character. However, for somebody in a beginner's bracket, it might only take 30,000 points because you're going against people that don't have that many characters to begin with. So the overall score is going to be lower. They're probably not going to be competing that often anyways. It's just, again, it's very important to do arena as a beginner because it's a lot easier to get these champions as it is to get them when you're in my bracket. I'll probably make a more in-depth guide on that later, so I'm not going to go too into it right now because there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, after that are Masteries, which affect all characters on your account, whether they're on Alliance War Defense, whether you're using them in fights for arena, all that kind of stuff. These affect all characters. Now, there are certain Masteries that benefit some characters more than others. So like this one right here, or not this one. This one right here is called Deep Wounds. It makes bleeds last longer. So that would be very beneficial for somebody like Blade or Hawkeye that has a bleed. However, it wouldn't really affect a character that doesn't have a bleed, like Dr. Voodoo. So you want to be very conscious of who you're using when you're doing your Masteries at a high level. However, as a beginner level, I would say to ignore offense altogether until your defense and proficiencies are in order. Now, proficiencies, I would say, is the most important one because you get Masteries like Parry and Dexterity, which completely change the way that the game plays. With this, it allows you to stun people when you block at the correct moment, which I think they show you in the tutorial when you start an account. And then dexterity allows you to dodge back, so you can swipe back as a character is doing something, whether it's their special attack or attacking you, and you can evade it instead of taking that block damage. So for characters like Iceman, or not Ice, nah, actually Iceman 2, Iron Man, characters that have like projectiles, you can just swipe back and completely ignore that damage. At the end game, this is very, very, very important. This is probably the trickiest part of the game, because every character has different animations, different timings, different special abilities, and knowing how to evade them and avoid that damage is crucial and could be the difference between winning a fight and losing a fight. Because even if you do take that block damage, attack and health are so inflated that you can take a blocked hit for 20% health. So it's very important to know how to completely just evade that. So as a beginner, I would focus on just these two trees, with the focuses being parry, dexterity, recovery, and then willpower. What willpower does is every time that you have a debuff, you gain a passive regen. So if you slip up, get hit by a Spider-Man, but they trigger an armor break, because you have that debuff on you, you're just passively going to be regenerating that health. So what was a pretty bad thing can kind of turn into a good thing, because now you're going to be gaining that health. So there's other characters that are more intricate, like Omega Red, who are kind of immune to debuffs like bleed, but not really. So they don't take as much damage from the bleed. However, they still have that little icon on their like health bar. So because it's still there, they're not taking the damage from the bleed that they would have normally, but they instead start gaining health. So it's just a really powerful mastery to have. And those would be my 3 recommendations before focusing into offense at all. Because a lot of the offense is like percent increases on attack, but as you're first starting out, a 4% attack on a 2 or 3 star character is going to be like, what, maybe 7 damage? Like 7 damage isn't going to make or break anything. So I would focus on these 2 until you get more comfortable with the game. And then as you learn characters that you like, characters that you enjoy playing, that you're ranking up, then start tweaking your masteries to specifically boost up those characters. Okay, so finally, I think what we should talk about is leveling. So as you can see here, I'm at level 60. Actually, you can't see there. You see under my name, it says level 60. The game caps out at 60 and scales from 1 to 60, obviously. Every time that you level up, you get different rewards. So it might be energy refills or potions or units, whatever the case is. However, I would say early on when you're first starting the game, do not use the energy refills, because if you're using them at level 10 when you only have like 26 or 27 energy, that's a lot less cost efficient than if you were to save it for when you're at a higher level. So as you can see here, my level cap is 70. That means 1 energy refill from level 10 would be worth what, like 3 at level 60. Now odds are you're not going to be saving them up until 60, because it takes a while to grind out those last 10 levels. But I would say don't start using your energy refills up until you're like maybe at a cap of 35 plus energy. And even then, you also always want to make sure that you're using them when your experience bar is super low. Because when you hit that level up, so if you level up from 9 to 10, it's going to refresh your energy anyways. So if you're at like 95% of an experience bar, you don't want to use that 30 unit cost energy refill to do 1 fight, which would cost 3 energy, because you level up from that fight, and then all that extra energy that you had would get basically wasted because it's going to get refreshed when you level up, if that makes sense. So I would say always start with small energy refills, just like the single little lightning bolt that gives you 5 energy, until you get to that higher cap, or until you notice that you're running out of energy at, let's say, 10% of an experience bar, because you know by the time that you run out of energy, you're going to be able to hit that level and then reset everything. You also kind of want to make sure that you're using your experience boost, which is super early, especially for the first 7 days, because I think there's like a beginner boost that everybody gets for 7 days. It's like a 30% experience boost. However, there are other boosts that give you a 50% boost for an hour or 12 hours, whatever the case is. And you can stack those together for an 80% increase boost, which is massive. So if you're going to be doing that, you can stack them up and then push through as much content as you want, as you can. And that's when I would be using energy refills more so, because in that time you're going to be getting a lot more experience, so you'll be leveling faster, and it kind of just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, because you're just going to keep going through so many different things. As you level up, you're going to change the content that you can access. So I don't even think you can become uncollected until after your summoner level 40. You can't do Act 6 or Act 5 until you're, actually not Act 5, Act 6 until you're summoner level 60. Things like Labyrinth of Legends, Road to the Labyrinth, all that kind of stuff. They have a level cap that you have to meet before you can even access that content. You also, I think every other level you might get a mastery point, which is super, super important, especially at the end game. You can also get, like I said earlier, I think you can get like units and catalysts and things like that. So you want to make sure that you're leveling as much as you can, but you're being efficient about it. I think that's it for this video, because we're already running super long. There are other videos that I want to make dedicated videos on, like pay to win versus free to play, on arena specifically, on champion specifically. If you guys have any requests, any questions, anything that maybe I didn't answer enough for you, or you want a specific video about that was specifically confusing to you, leave them in the comments below, or hit me in my social media accounts, which will be linked in the description below. I'll go ahead and answer everything that you guys want. I'm going to be pumping out a lot of content on this game, probably over the next week or two, because I really, really enjoy it. And like I said, I'm starting a new account, so I want to show all of my friends that I'm bringing with me, and hopefully some of you guys who might want to start a new account or just have some fun on a second account, just go on this journey with me and bring in some friends with you. Whatever the case is, yeah, leave all of your feedback in the comments below. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!